All right, so I wanted to explain the prong collar. So the prong collar is one that I'm typically going to use for a larger dog that's very strong, a dog that's already learned to pull on the leash, and we're working against their idea of what leash pressure means. If they've spent a lot of time practicing pulling on the leash, then when they hit the end of the leash, they typically learn to pull harder. So a prong collar is good to try to change that a little bit. It gives you a little bit of power steering. So when they hit the end of the leash, it's uncomfortable. It's not, we're not going to call it anything other than it is. It's not comfortable, so it makes them not want to do it. So the premise behind this is we're going to teach the dog where heel position is, that reinforcement zone. We want them to be beside us when we go for a walk. So lots of positive reinforcement, lots of treats when we're beside us before this even comes into play. So once the dog knows that that's where we want them to be, they get lots of rewards for that. Then this comes into play for when they do pull, instead of that habit of pulling harder into the leash. This is going to be uncomfortable, and they're gonna want to back off of the pressure. And at that point, they back off. When they back off, they look at us. They go back into heel position. Then we start giving positive rewards there. So that's the premise behind a prong collar. This one is just good for power steering. Some dogs are really strong and some people are not, or they are very small. So this is what we're using for Molly, the lab. So you'll see that it has the prongs over here on this side, and then it has this other loop that is going to get a certain amount smaller, but will not choke all the way. When I say choke, get tight. So unlike a quote choke chain that will continue to get all the way small, this one only gets this much tighter as it's pulled. So when it goes around the dog's neck and they lean into it, it gives a pressure around their neck. It's distributed on each one of those prongs, so it's not one prong poking into one spot on their neck. It goes all the way around, distributes the pressure, but again, it's not comfortable. I can pull on it on my arm and I'm not dying. It's not comfortable, but I'm not dying. So that's what we're working with, prong collar. So when we attach it to the dog, we want to make sure that we're attaching it on this ring here that swivels. It is a more of a D shape than it is a circle. So it is flat and it swivels. That's what we're going to be hooking the leash to, not this one. This one, if we hook to it and the dog turns around, it's going to get twisted. So what we want is this one connected to the leash, and this, so this can go loose and tight as we pull. When we're walking on it, we do not want to be holding the dog like this and moving the dog around. We want to communicate with the dog. That is it. When the dog hits the end of the leash, they're going to feel it tighten, not feel comfortable, and want to back off the pressure. If you are not hearing this as you're pulling on the leash, then it is too tight. So we need to make sure that when we communicate, we hear that. It's kind of like, excuse me, pay attention. And then it goes back loose. So when we put the prong collar on, sometimes you can just put it over their head if it's large enough. Big headed dogs, Molly. We're going to undo one of these pieces. We're going to push it up, grab the top, squeeze, and pull it out. Then when we have the dog sitting, we're going to go from underneath their head and up and around and connect it in the holes. I make it look very easy. I do it a lot. It's going to be harder when your dog is wiggling around, when they're moving their head. So, what I want you to do is sit on the couch and practice without any dog. Use your 2 fingers to pinch the top, pull it out of the hole. It comes undone. Pinch the top, fit it back into the holes, and then it goes. There is a piece here. We do not want to undo either one of these pieces that go into this divider. Even the one beside is going to be harder to pinch and get in and out. So you want to pick one of these prongs that's kind of in between on the chain. So here in the middle, or we could go onto this side and pick one of these in the middle. If it's easier with the left hand, we can do it the opposite. So you can use your left hand, pinch the top, pull it out, pinch it, put it back in. So one prerequisite for using this that's going to be more successful is if we teach our dog to hop up to a place, sit, and have them sit and be able to move this towards their head and they're not throwing their head around. So one way to do that is teach them a sit on a bed, and then we're going to have food treats in one hand and we're just going to move this towards the dog's head. And so they learn not to bite at this at all or try to, move towards it. So that's another video we can show of how to get it on the dog. But this is explaining the prong collar, how and why we use it, and how it works.